Welcome to week 9 of the Bald Guys Talking Football podcast. We've got a special guest. I'm here with my co-host David, and we've got a special guest, the last year's champ, Sean Oczki. How are you, Sean?
I'm doing just peachy. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Dave, how's it going?
It's the last 2 years in a row, champ. And he's looks like I know he's trying to hand off that trophy to me. Not just yet, Sean, not just yet.
No, this stays
soon enough.
Dave, what are you rocking today as far as jersey?
Oh, got the black limited edition Cowboys Terrence Newman jersey. So,
Terrence Newman?
classic.
Is it with drug arrests or no?
No, that's the Bears player that we traded you guys.
Herd, or Herds or whatever. Sean, you rocking anything? No?
I'm rocking my West Coast shirt from my company. That's about it. I can't really rep anything for my football team, whether it's fandom with the Bears or
Sean, no plugs on this. Come on now. We're going to have to blur that out.
Come on. If you need title insurance, this is where you go. Right here. Go West Coast.
I'm rocking my I just came back from trick-or-treating with my kids, so I wear my spooky pumpkin shirt. So happy Halloween, everybody. We'll start off with the beer of the week. Sean, do you have one?
I do. Well, I told Dave that it's going to be Coors Light because it can be very refreshing. And I just feel like, sometimes you just want to have a few, not just one big coffee type ale, but I won't. So
thank you, Sean, for your first and last visit to the Both Guys Talking Football podcast.
Wait, it's a Halloween edition, so he gets a
I did candy. And I want to say an underrated candy. I never thought about how much I appreciate Reese's Pieces. I know it's more of a movie theater candy, but it's one of the things that I'm like, all right, peanut butter cups are a little bit too much these days, but at least Reese's Pieces, you get the enjoyment of the candy coating of the M&M with kind of like the peanut butter filling. So I just want to say that shout out to Reese's Pieces. I think they're some of the greatest candies that anybody could ever get. And it seems like they're in the shadow of the M&M and all of its form, peanut, Rice Krispie. I think, Reese's Pieces, it keeps it simple, and I appreciate that.
Wow, I didn't know we had Matty Jr. on.
Dave, you got a beer of the week or underrated candy?
My favorite candy is, what is it, the $100,000 one?
$100,000?
That and Snickers. But I do have a beer of the week. I have a Hawaii 5 Ale from Distills. Eric had some the other day when he was over. It is a blonde ale with pineapple, coconut, mango, peach, and guava. And while it sounds like it's a sugar bomb, it's actually really nicely balanced beer. So that is my beer of the week.
Yeah? You're not doing that's a little summary, though. Well, I thought you'd be going starting to get into the darker.
Very sunny.
Yeah, no, not tonight. I went to 4 breweries earlier today, so I had plenty of stouts.
And I decided to kick it off with I saw they had a big display of these at Jewel, and it's one of my favorite beers to drink when there's snow on the ground. Leinenkugel Snowdrift. It's a vanilla porter. It's not high class by any means, but I love them because they're 5%. You can drink a ton of them, and they don't get you messed up. So
that's a very good. If you ever make it to Chippewa Falls, it's a very good beer tour. Scott and I went on that on the way to Minneapolis.
Laura and I were talking about it when we were driving over to her sister's to go trick or treating. She's like, "We should go up there and go out a brewery tour." I'm like, "I'm for it. Let's do it." So
it was delightful. It really was.
It's a nice area too. It's right up there. Yeah,
all hilly.
Yeah. So, as always, we cheers to the person in the survivor pool, and we have the distinction of having him actually on the podcast today. So, Sean, sorry you lost, but cheers.
Cheers, Sean. Good riddance.
It's been a good run. I just want to thank everybody.
So that leaves Ken, Dave, PJ, and Laura left on there. And it should be interesting next couple weeks. Sort of rooting for Laura because same household and stuff, but I don't think she's got a chance against the 3 bigwigs, Ken, Dave, and PJ. So It should be interesting going in here towards the end. Dave, any comments on what your strategy is over the next 3 weeks to keep it in the survivor pool?
Evidently, it's not playing Tevin Coleman, so that's not working for me tonight. So I thought I was pretty solid playing him after last week, but voila, fantasy football.
I thought Burrito was out this week, so.
Jeez.
So that brings us to our 2-minute drill. We thought this is a good sort of mid-season. I know it's technically not mid fantasy season. It's more mid football season, but we'll take a look at the teams or the top 10 players at each position and just sort of go over, hey, who's I want you guys to give me a couple things. One, who are you surprised to see up there? And who's a fake, who's going to be out of there, and if you can think of anybody who's not in there, bring them up. So those 3 things: who's a surprise, who's not going to be there at the end of the year, and who you think might sneak in there. So we'll start off with our quarterbacks, top 10. At number 1, Deshaun Watson, followed by Russell Wilson, Lamar Jackson, Aaron Rodgers, Dak Prescott, Tom Brady. Number 7, Mahomes. Number 8, Ryan. Then we got Kyler Murray and Stafford rounding it up. Sean, we'll start with you. Who's a surprise in there? Who's your?
I think Stafford a bit, but Kyler Murray, I think, is coming back to earth. He's facing a tough defense this week. But Kyler Murray's going to come back to earth a little bit, and then hopefully he's going to bounce back because he's on my team next year. So that one is, I think, a little bit of a surprise, but he's going to come back as I think they're starting to plan for him a little bit more, knowing how he's played in the NFL.
Anybody in there that you think's a fake that's going to get knocked out by the end of the year?
Stafford. I mean, otherwise, like the other quarterbacks, well, obviously Mahomes with the injury, but other quarterbacks are just straight up legit. Lamar Jackson's proven himself not to just be a running quarterback.
Stafford had his best year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Stafford, he's a surprise. I don't think he's going to drop out. He's really doing well.
And then anybody that's not in there that you think might sneak in?
Mitch Trubisky. I feel like.
What?
Well, he's got a lot to do to sneak back in.
I think Sam Darnold doesn't get the credit he does because he's got crap around him. But I think
there's no way he's sneaking in.
I'm rooting for Minshew. That's who I'm rooting for.
Minshew's actually not a bad choice.
That's my guy. I like him.
On the edge. He's at number 12 right now.
If you could take Jacksonville and put him into a person, it's Gardner Minshew right now.
Just so you know, I have the top 25 up on my board here. And for some reason, Trubisky didn't even make a top 25.
What?
Yeah, that's surprising. Not really, but.
Look at Dak trying to get that paper, though.
Yeah, trying to get paid.
Dave, any surprises in there for you?
I would have to say probably the biggest surprise. I mean, what's Mahomes been out? He got hurt in the first quarter and has been out the last 2 games, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So I mean, and he's still top 8. I think Kyler Murray. I didn't expect him to be in the top 10. I agree with Sean. I think he'll slip out. I think Minshew has a good shot to go up. I guess probably the biggest surprise would be at number 18. I can't believe he's not a number 1 quarterback. Would be Josh Allen. I really thought there were a lot of podcast guys, big guys with bald heads that were saying he's the greatest thing ever. So I thought he'd be a lot higher than 18. I don't think he's going to make the top 10, but maybe top 12.
He could be top 12. It's far from me. My biggest surprise was Tom Brady. I mean, it shouldn't be, but I just figured the way their offense was set up last year going into this year, the running game has really, really been bad, and they've had to rely on Tom Brady's arm a lot, and a lot more than what I thought it would be. And it's been a surprise to see him doing that well. The guy I think that might slip out, I'd have to go Kyler Murray. The guy on the edge right now at number 11. I was floored. I can't believe he's not a top 10 quarterback. It's Carson Wentz. And I don't see how he's not in it. He's like they rely on him to throw the ball a ton. I think once he gets Deshaun Jackson back and have that like deep threat, I could see him really easily getting into that top 10.
Well, and I was going to say he had that 2-week run where, well, he had the 1 week where he had his top 3 wide receivers were gone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're running heavy in that offense, so I don't think it's necessarily him, and he hasn't had a bye week, so I agree with you. I tend to think I'm sort of surprised there a little bit, but
and they have the most drops in the NFL as a team.
Yeah, didn't they drop a baby in a fire or something like that?
Yeah, it was something like that, right?
Nelson Aguilar.
Okay, we'll move on to our running backs. No surprise here. Christian McCaffrey leads the spot at number 1, followed by Dalvin Cook, Aaron Jones, Austin Eckler, Nick Chubb, Leonard Fournette, Zeke, Chris Carson, James Conner, Derrick Henry.
I see a couple here. I think Eckler, just because I think I started looking at Melvin Gordon's distribution, and it's starting to go up a little bit. I think Melvin Gordon's going to start taking over some of those carries, and Eckler's going to go down. And then James Conner, injuries and kind of was a de facto starting running back. I think he's going to be taken out of that top 10 soon.
Yeah, I'd say there's a lot of surprises. I mean, Aaron Jones that high, maybe not a surprise in there in the top 10, but that high. I agree Austin Eckler will drop. I'm kind of surprised. Like, I look at Nick Chubb, and I feel like he struggled a lot more than to be at the spot that he's at.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Fournette, Elliott had a slow start. So Derrick Henry in the top 10, kind of surprising there. I thought he'd be a little bit lower. It's amazing to have him on your team when you can. But there's a lot of guys out of the top 10 that I think can jump in.
Oh, yeah.
Kamara and Saquon Barkley, I think he'll jump in.
Josh Jacobs is a man.
Oh, yeah, I'm surprised he's not in there. A guy like Derrick Henry, sorry, I know he's on your team, but he doesn't really offer too much more, especially in our league setup, other than runs. So, I mean, I'm surprised a guy like Josh Jacobs, who's been pretty dominant and still catches the passes. I mean,
if you look, they've actually utilized him in the pass game, and the guy who's the backup guy, Deion Lewis, is like almost non-existent. So yeah. I think it's kind of the offensive coordinator not really utilizing the backs, and actually some of his biggest plays have been on swing passes out of the backfield for like 60 and 80 yards. So he has that perception, but I think he can catch. He's not horrible.
It's more just the target share, like you want to, like I can understand Eckler being up there because he's like, even
he's a wide receiver.
Gordon's coming back. He's getting, a bunch of targets, all these guys on there, maybe not so much Fournette, Chris Carson, but all these guys have the pass or have shown pass catching capability in the past. It's I don't know. It's definitely not what I expected out of Derrick Henry either. I pretty much had him dead for the most part.
Well, what do you guys think of Nick Chubb? I'm kind of surprised to see him that high. I mean, the way he started out the season, I thought he would actually be lower. I haven't looked at the overall rankings, so he kind of surprises me a little bit.
Nick Chubb?
Yeah, I like him. He's a good running back, but I didn't think he would be that high. I feel like, I don't know, maybe every time I watched and Baker Mayfield was just getting his ass slammed into the ground, it just felt like Chubb wasn't having a good game.
Well, in all honesty, he's had a weird year because he started off so weird or with so poor. Like, it's been first two games he was like non-existent, and then they like flipped the script and it was like, oh, Baker's getting destroyed back there, and he's not really as good as what we thought. So we got to rely on this Nick Chubb, and he's had some monster weeks too. So I'm not surprised by Nick Chubb being up there. I mean, maybe not 5. Same thing with Aaron Jones though. Same thing. He's been so touchdown dependent. Like he'll have like a couple games where it was like he had like 10 touches for 40 yards and 3 touchdowns though. Like they use him in the goal line a ton.
Yeah, I think, like you said, I think it's mostly just kind of visually seeing that. Like a lot of the podcasts that I listen to, they don't talk about your top players as much, so if you don't have them on your team, sometimes they're slipping under the radar. I mean, I work Sundays, so it's like I don't get to watch a lot of the football as much as I'd like to, especially live. And what I do see is I'm on the sales floor and sort of catching it in bits and pieces. So it's kind of interesting just to see somebody that I knew was good. I knew he was having an okay season, but I mean, it's just interesting to see him at top 5. It just surprises me. Doesn't mean that he doesn't belong there.
Little known fact, Bits and Pieces was Sean's nickname in high school.
Was it? Not Reese's Pieces? I think certain guys call them Reese's Pieces.
That was actually my soul band was Bits and Pieces. So,
wow.
All right.
We'll move on to the wide receiver.
Moving on.
Top wide receiver, my boy, Michael Thomas. So far, I've got the top QB, the top wide receiver. Michael Thomas, followed by Cooper Kupp. Chris Godwin. He just got traded, too. DJ Chark, Mike Evans, Julio Jones, Amari Cooper, Julian Edelman, DeAndre Hopkins, and Mike Evans. Sean, you were the guy who just acquired Goodwin. Any thoughts on the wide receiver category? What about any surprises? Any guys that you think are going to drop off? Any guys that'll sneak in?
I'm just surprised. I mean, honestly, Godwin, that's as Dave was selling Godwin. I was kind of like, oh, no. But then after I thought about it more, I'm like, geez, it's kind of undisputed, these numbers. It's not like there's a bunch of flukes in there. But what kind of surprised me a little bit is that you have 2 wide receivers having Jameis Winston throw them the ball and their top wide receivers. It says more about I guess maybe about them than their quarterback.
He's not a top 10 quarterback.
Exactly. And he's been throwing some junk lately, too. So that's why I'm like, damn, I can't believe he has 2 top 10 wide receivers. Otherwise, a DJ Chark obviously was a surprise. But, I mean, that doesn't seem debated at all either. So somebody that seems to be – I mean, I'm always afraid of Godwin being there, but it seems like he's going to be up there at least for a while. Maybe Tyler Lockett, but I don't know. I can't see anything where I'm like, oh, my gosh, this person shouldn't be here in the top 10.
Yeah, wide receivers, like, tough because, being in a half PP, it balances them. It doesn't overvalue them. If we went to full PPR, maybe it'd be a little different. And I don't like it. I like being where we're at. I like the points the way they are. I think it balances it, but it's kind of funny. You look at once you get past those top 5 or 6 players, everybody just bunches up. Yeah. And wide receivers don't have a lot of value, which is interesting. Like to see DJ Chark, I know Eric and I talked about him and D.D. Westbrook, and I was like, man, Chark looks good. D.D., I like D.D. coming into the season, and I can't believe Chark is all the way up there. You got Stephon Diggs, who Eric was ready to just take him out back and shoot him and write him off and said nobody on Minnesota is worth owning, and he's a top 10 guy, better than my guy, Thielen, who's about 5 levels down, although he missed the game, so that makes a big difference.
Yeah, he's been injured.
DJ Chark is just – I think that's amazing because it's Jacksonville. To think of Jacksonville guys in the top 5, I think that's kind of very interesting. Hopkins, I think, will move up that board. Keenan Allen, I think, will move up that board. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But wide receivers are really cool to kind of look at when you're looking them at that type of top 10, how they move and how they're surprising there.
Well, it's just what it is to look at some of these numbers over here is you've got some like obvious like, hey, Michael Thomas, Cooper Kupp, even like Godwin, Julio Jones, Julian Edelman, Hopkins. Their receptions are so huge. Whereas like Evans, Chark, Cooper, they're all under 40 catches. It's nuts. Like they're so touchdown dependent. If you shut that down, I can see a guy like, Keenan Allen, who's got 51 receptions, 617 yards, but only 3 touchdowns. He can slip in there just because he's more consistent,
And you got to figure he's going to get his touchdowns eventually.
Right. Yeah, exactly. So like that, and that's what really makes like Thomas so valuable. Like I've heard, like I was listening to a podcast, and I didn't even realize I had the number 1 receiver this like through 9 weeks, and somebody was talking about it, and they're like, hey, he hasn't had like that like blow you out of the water amazing game. It's been like just consistent. Like that's the key with the wide receiver position is you can have a top receiver if they're just consistently catching balls and getting the targets. So
if you get 15 to 25 out of a receiver, that's stellar. And think about your guy who's on a bye now. So he'll get hopped, but he might get hopped by 1, maybe 2 players. And he hasn't had his starting quarterback for how many games?
Yeah, Godwin's the only one that I can see hopping him. I mean, he's Thomas is at 147.
Cup is off.
2. The next guy is below him is 123. So he's got to score 20. I mean, I guess Evans or Chark if they have a really good game. But, yeah, even so, I mean, like you said, I'm not really worried. I'm not looking to have the top receiver. I'm looking to have a very good, consistent receiver.
There's a guy on there, I think it won't be this year. Will be probably in the next 2 years if Washington gets I mean, I know they have Haskins, and maybe we'll see how that works. But I do love Terry McLaurin. For the garbage that he's on right now and the way he's playing, I could see him being a very good player in the league for quite a while.
Who's that?
There's some
Terry
really
McLaurin.
Oh, okay.
Terry.
And wide receivers there that are like they're good. Like, I mean, I know we only did top 10, but like I think everybody's surprised with Allen Robinson. As bad as the Bears offenses looked, he's been amazing. Terry McLaurin's another one. John Brown. It's guys like that's really where you win championships is when you got those second tier guys that are pulling it up for you. I mean, they're not even second tier. They're like third, fourth, but they're doing well. And since we got a year of tight end, why don't we do it? We'll go over the top 10 tight ends and see how bad it is. And
let's have a drink. One
more year.
At the top, Austin Hooper. That's kind of a surprise for me. Kelsey's right behind him. Darren Waller. Evan Ingram's number 4. Mark Andrews, George Kittle, Zach Ertz, Darren Fowles, and
He just had a big game, I think.
And Gerald Everett. Here's the most surprising one for me. I'm just going to say it. About 3 weeks ago, Will Disley went out with a Achilles injury, and he's out for the season, and he's still in the top 10. That's how bad this position is the man's still in the top 10, and he hasn't played in 3 weeks.
Maybe we should eliminate it.
I think we did.
It's kind of funny. I'm not sure when the regression of the mean happened, but I remember when everybody had to have that hot tight end that was going to catch. I mean, the Bears never did, but still, like everybody had to have that hot tight end that was going to catch and do it all. After like Antonio Gates may have been the first to do so, or been that set that record. It seems like it's kind of gone back a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I think the thing is with tight ends is there's always like 2 or 3 good ones,
Yeah.
Gates, and Gonzalez, Tony Gonzalez back in the day. So like there's always 2 or 3, and then the drop off is huge. And I think that's kind of why we ended up getting rid of it. I mean, Eric's right. You have a top 10 guy that hasn't been in there for 3 weeks. He's still 8 points ahead of Gerald Everett, who has a bye, and then Hunter Henry. He's 9 points ahead of him. So there's a chance that he's going to stay in the top 10 for another week or 2. So Eric, how does that make you feel? Should we still have a tight end position?
I do, because the thing is like guys who pay for Kelsey, guys who pay for, those top end guys like Ertz and Kittle and stuff. I mean, they spend a lot, and it evens out the wide receiver pool, I think.
All right, hold on. So Kelsey is 93 points. Austin Hooper is 117. Austin Hooper would be in the top 10 of wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kelsey would be probably he's in the top 25. I think he's going to be about 18 or 19. So, I mean, they still hold value when you look at it with who's around there. They hold value for what they are.
I agree, but like the thing that it does is when drafting, when spending that money and stuff, somebody's gonna spend $40 on Kelsey to get that advantage.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I agree.
So now,
so what's Kelsey worth? What's an Adam Thielen worth, and what's a Kelsey worth? Because they're at about the same.
So instead of that person now spending $40 on Kelsey, they're going to spend $25 because he's a top 25 receiver. He's not a top. He's not setting you apart in one position. So it just
takes about $10 to $15 off the value.
Yeah, well, not only that, but it adds a whole bunch of more money into the wide receiver pool, and those guys are going to get pulled up because that one person's not spending 40. You don't have that conglomerate of, let's say, like $100 to $110 worth of cash that's going to the top 3 tight ends. That's now getting funneled into the wide receivers, and that's making them more expensive. So I mean. It's just
how much you spend on Evan Ingram by the way?
$10.
$10. And he's the number 4 guy, and he was highly valued. So it only affects about 2 to 3 guys.
Like the top 3, maybe.
Yeah.
It used to be like maybe the top 5 or
I'm saying the top 3. Because I can see next year guys going for Kittle. I don't know if Hooper will. I mean, Hooper might get up there, but I could see Kittle.
I think he'd be at 20 to 30 if there was still a tight end position. We'll see what happens with them coming up.
Yeah,
it's an interesting quandary. I know you. So all things being considered, you'd like to bring the tight end back just to be a specific position.
Yeah. Again, I think it's just it puts more strategy when you're drafting. Who do you where do you value it, and now you're really deep diving it. That we do lay spot in foot or in baseball, and you really have to look at these teams to figure out who the tight ends are. Like Mark Andrews came out of nowhere, but if you were really paying attention to Baltimore and what that guy did last year, I mean it made sense. Like if I hadn't gotten Ingram, I was going for Andrews. I liked Andrews a lot.
Right. And Sean, what's your opinion? Would you bring it back? Do you want to bring it back?
No, not really. It's kind of it seems like more of a nuisance than anything. Just for the fact that it's like you're having to appease for this position that's part blocking, and like I said, there's only the top 3. So I'd rather have that money go towards wide receivers and have maybe that ends up being higher scoring because of that. If you do a 3 wide receiver set. Or 2 flex or whatever you try, but I just think focusing anything on tight end is just kind of wasting after a while, just because there's such, I don't know. It just to me you should be able to pick a tight end, but you shouldn't have to be forced to in this current age of NFL. At one time, I totally agree, and maybe my numbers are completely off, and you can say, well. Yeah, it's always been that case, Sean. But to me, it just seems like there's it's such a nuisance to have one right now. And maybe it's because I don't have. Well, I have 2 in the top 10, but
that's just top of your head, off the cuff type stuff and feeling. So yeah. All right. Anybody else?
Real quick. We'll go through these pretty quick. Dave's trade with Sean. You guys want to go talk about it and just see how it developed?
Some of it will be for the guest topic, but basically just to the trade specifically. Everybody presented very nice trades, so I don't want to knock anybody's trade. It's just, well, there's some I could probably knock, but I just think that Dave had what I was looking for. And, I know it's always good to ask for money, but some of the players I felt like I had a little more value even at 1 year, because the players I feel I offered can help. And as I kind of thought about back when I was going for the title, and I traded you Deshaun Watson and Michael Thomas for like Le'Veon Bell. It was probably really more lopsided on your side, but you got a ton of value that you're still getting today. But at the time, it's like, okay, it's 1 year, and I feel like with Le'Veon Bell, I am going for it, and I'm going to win it. I'm going to win a title with this. And I think that's what I saw Dave trying to do there, and he traded the players in that spirit. So
yeah, I mean,
real quick, just so we can do an overview. What'd you get, Sean?
I got Godwin, Jarvis Landry, Derrick Henry, who's franchisable at a very, very low price, and I think Chris Davis is more of just a
Corey Davis.
I'm sorry. See, I didn't even know the dude's name. The dude from from Western Michigan.
Basically, he got a 2-year contract.
Yeah, I got a 2-year contract, and this guy's kind of like, I don't know. He's a kicker, not literally a kicker, but he is the kicker to the deal.
Well, and I think too is how it started out. Is I offered Sean.
What did you get? So everybody knows listening.
I got Fournette, Amari Cooper, Tyler Boyd, and Mark Ingram. And it started out that I just wanted Amari Cooper and Fournette. So I offered him Godwin, which at 3 years, $20. He's the top 3 receiver. He's doing great. He looks like he's going to be a stud. I wasn't going to take a player for player deal. So the way I looked at it, I got Amari Cooper back. He's a top 6 or 7. So that's kind of a wash right now, but he got the years on the backside. And I wanted Fournette, and I had Corey Davis in there.
Yeah.
So he came back with some other stuff. But the way I look at it is, when I look at this trade, I took a lot of players out of the pool that other people could get to improve their team. So, like, when I look at Derrick Henry and Mark Ingram are a wash. They're 10 and 11. Amari Cooper and Godwin are kind of a wash. So where I improved was with Leonard Fournette and throwing on Boyd. He picked up, who were the other 2 guys? Corey Davis and
Godwin and Landry.
Landry. I always forget.
I like Landry.
Landry's 2 years, $20. So we'll see what happens with Mayfield if he improves. But I think it was a win-win. And, I offered him one trade. He came back, and we talked a little bit. And then I offered him the second trade, and we were done.
Yeah, you didn't know Derrick Henry was franchisable. You thought that you franchised him already. So, and I franchised Boyd and Cooper. If you decide to do that for Fournette, good on you. Honestly, I was gonna be crazy and ask you for Elliott. And
yeah,
it just franchise it, but that's why I threw that out there. It seems like you shut that one down right away. So
yeah, Elliott's not going anywhere. So that's those are usually pretty quick.
Yeah. So I was like, might as well ask. What's he gonna do? Say no? That's the worst that's gonna happen. But and
that's fine. And I've had a few that send them out. I'll say no. Now, yeah. I might give you a little shit if I say no because they're so bad. I got a couple of those this week, but it's all right. I'm sure I've sent them out.
Yeah. So no, I was happy with it. If people thought I got ripped off or Dave got ripped off, then whatever. I just is at this point done. And Cooper and especially Cooper and Boyd have really no value to me at that point if I'm done and they're franchised already. So.
Right, you got to get back value. I think you got good value. Yeah. It's one I would have done on the backside, and I try to do that when I send out those trades.
Yeah, no, I thought it was very fair.
And one of the players that Sean's been sitting on is Kenyon Drake. Part of the news that we had this week was Kenyon Drake was traded to the Arizona Cardinals. Now they've been depleted at the running back position. With a lot of injuries, and we're forced to start Kenyon Drake tonight. Sean, do you know?
Thank God you didn't, Sean.
Yeah, so who would have thought that some guy that was like sharing time with Kalen Ballage, and then I forgot the other dude, but basically is on. I mean, I know it's Miami, so I guess a change of scenery, but immediately, like, was it less than a week?
No, it's not first game. I mean, he got traded.
Yeah,
First game, been there like 3 or 4 days.
yeah.
Against
So
one
I
of the
mean,
top defenses.
he hasn't even unpacked his luggage, and then he's able to have a game like that. So
Do you got the updated stats? Because if you don't, I do.
I do have it. He has 25 points, 108 yards, with 14 rushing attempts, and then 52 yards catch with 4 receptions.
And he's got a touchdown.
And he's got a touchdown too to boot. I don't know if it's a fluke, and maybe I just.
Oh, I'm sorry. The Cardinals just scored on a long ass touchdown. Sorry, my bad.
Did they?
Was that pass?
I totally didn't see if it was a punt return, kick return, what it was.
I'm on a delay because I'm watching it from my phone, so nothing's.
Oh, okay. Oh, by the way, it's 110 yards rushing for Drake now.
It was a fucking pass.
Oh, good. That's good to hear.
No, not good.
So that's 21 for my guy Kyler. Forget what I said about him being a little. He's gonna be out of the top 10.
Who was the pass to?
It was an 87-yard pass to. Hold on, wait. He's gonna turn to Isabella.
Who the hell is Isabella?
Nobody's got that guy on his team.
It's a white guy.
Dave, but this tells you when it's not
that's a
your
good run, too.
It tells you when you're not your year, when you just keep on missing like this with I mean, who knew about Drake? So I guess I can't blame myself there. But
Sean might beat me this week, by the way.
That's awesome. That would help out a lot of people, I think.
Just so everybody knows, I might be selling next week.
Zeke?
No.
No.
I got offers for Zeke if you want.
So we'll go quickly through our matchups from last week. We'll start off with I'll start with myself since I got it up. I beat Darren 123.
Got it up. Glad you finally got it up.
123.16 to 88.66. Deshaun Watson, Michael Thomas, the two guys that are number one, they basically kept my team going. Baker Mayfield shit the bed again for him, and he had some underperforming guys. So, but yeah,
Who'd you play?
Big one was Miles Sanders too. Miles Sanders just, I think I've been holding on to him for back half. I actually offered him a couple times to some people, and everybody was like, "No, I don't want that guy. He's backup." But every time that guy touches the ball, he can take it. Like, he's so electric. I love him. I'm looking forward because I got him for multiple years. So
Eagles, they love to run right now.
Your boy Kenny Drake just got a 2-point conversion too, by the way.
Oh, okay. Well, he's like, hey, I'm on Sean's bench. Let me go ahead and just run up that score. Okay, cool.
And you'll play him next week, and he'll get 5.
Oh yeah, just like Coleman right here. So what? Coleman had 37, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. It's killing me.
I did Burrito too. They were like, he's not going to play. I heard something this morning. Yeah, he played.
Darren's in a rebuilding year, I think. I mean,
well, the funny thing. Well, we'll go. Maybe we'll cover this with Sean and rebuilding or trading.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, Darren has made one trade. I reached out to him to get that trade. He hasn't traded anything else. So it's just like, what's going on here?
Right.
Outside of Diggs, what do you want? Like Ridley?
Well, Diggs is multi-year, and from what I heard from a big bald guy podcast is that you don't want Diggs.
I'd take him.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, he's a top 10 wide receiver, but
yeah.
No, there's not a lot left. I mean, White, he's got multi-year. Diggs, he's got multi-year. I mean, he's got to dig into that team right now, and I don't know if he's got any open contracts. There's a lot of guys that they have open contracts. Either they should be selling to collect more money.
Yeah.
They're just not paying attention.
Well, this is your window, isn't it? Because isn't Thomas going to be up next year? This year? This is your last year with Thomas before you have to pay money?
Yeah, this is my window, basically. I mean, I'm not completely out of it because I bring my quarterbacks again, and I've got Miles Sanders. So I'm going to have some really good drafting I'm going to have to do next year. So um, we'll move on to, let's see, who's this? Oh, that's Scott versus Sean. Sean, he didn't win. 95.
I did not. No, I did not. So
Scott, he had 113. 0.36. He's currently sitting in 7th place. Brady did pretty well for him. Julio Jones, and then just some consistency across the board. Tyler Boyd and Parker, man. Gerald Everett. Yeah, there was a bunch of guys that just really didn't do much for you on your side.
Murray had a bad game, and of course I said Goff, who ends up having like 400 yards passing, and then Williams comes back and has a good game too for the Raiders. So I'm not sure if that would even do anything, if that would beat Scott or not. But it's at that point where I kind of felt it going in there. I'm like, this is probably just not my year.
That's okay because you might beat Dave this week.
Maybe he might. Well, I find it interesting because, like we were talking last week, the bubble teams and stuff like that, and this was one of the big matchups. And Sean lost; he's selling. Laura lost, and she's not selling. So similar record. So I kind of thought that was interesting, although I assume Laura's thinking she's going to win this week. So, do you know any thought process on that, Eric?
I think just based off of talking with her is because she's like still pretty like sure this is her last hurrah. She wants to give it her best and not really sell off, especially if there's any glimmer of hope. I mean, like really, if she's in it and she's playing for next year, it really doesn't matter at that point for her. This is it. So she's, I know she tried to make a couple of trades this week to improve her team, but at the same point, it's tough with her when you know somebody who's going to be leaving like that and they have that mentality. What are they really caring about next year? So it's tough to she's a tough trade partner right now because she wants to win this year. She wants to make the playoffs this year. So we can move on to her. She ran into a buzzsaw by the name of Mr. Juilliard.
Let's not talk about him.
Let's
keep it down low.
Because
he should be nameless.
Mr. Julie always gets me that I'm like, that's Brad's team. And then, nope, that's PJ. PJ's doing really well. He's in first place. He's at 7-1. He had the most points last week at 172.28. Laura didn't have a terrible week, 97.98. I mean, that's right around the 100-point average line. Galladay did okay for her, but Bell, she went up against Jacksonville, really didn't do much. She had some other players on her team that just underperformed. Whereas on PJ's side, he had some big performances from Michael Evans at almost 40 points, Aaron Jones at almost 40 points. Stafford's balling out for him. So I mean, he's had some really good weeks and stuff. So you guys see PJ going forward as the best team in the league?
I'm not sure about that Devonta Freeman thing or the Devonta Freeman thing that he has going on. I guess he could throw in mix, and he's got some depth though, and obviously Beckham's not playing great, but yeah, he's got a pretty good team. I mean, I definitely could see how he could improve through other teams that are not doing as well, because he just needs maybe a few pieces to be dominant. But I still there's some inconsistencies there, but T.Y. Hilton's still hanging in there. So
I mean, he's doing it without some big names on there.
Yeah,
Michael Evans is a superstar. I would consider Zach Ertz.
Wonder who would trade that guy for some reason.
But Stafford's his quarterback. T.Y. Hilton was pretty much everybody was. I mean, he got him for almost nothing at the end of the draft. Freeman, Jones, DJ Chark. I mean, just guys that you're why is he where
he's got Lamar Jackson coming back too. I mean, his team is actually pretty
don't
good.
forget he's got Odell Beckham sitting on the bench. You know, so he's got a good team.
Yeah,
Joe Mixon. If he plays an easy team, Mixon can put up 20 points easily. If he doesn't, he's sitting on the bench and he's got plenty of players.
Yeah,
and he's got Singletary for depth. So it's an all right team, I guess. No, it's a good team.
I just think that he's like one player away than like to basically like being in the championship, like one player from a bad team.
Yeah, and it's tough looking at Laura's team because I like a lot of the players.
Lindsay was going to do a little bit better this year.
Yeah, I thought Lindsay would too. Hyde's been balling out though, surprisingly. Yeah, it's just mainly her biggest thing right now is like, she's got some home run hitters. Like she's sitting on, she's got Tyreek Hill, and I don't think Bell's going to score her 5 points every week. So Russell Wilson, 15.6. I mean, that's not very good. Like he's the second best quarterback in the league. He normally doesn't score under 20. So I just really don't see this as something. I do still think she has a chance to slip in it, but that's why she's really not trading. Is she's got some players on her team. Like I look at that and I'm like, wow, if Mike Evans is PJ's best player, I'd rather have Tyreek Hill. I mean, but it's just that's fantasy, right? PJ's hit on some really good players.
Yeah, I mean Galladay's looking good, even though he's not top 10, but he's still a great player. But then you got like Carlos Hyde in there. She's got David Johnson right now, so she got some issues there. I like her quarterbacks. Alshon Jeffrey, if he can just get more consistent with Wentz, she's got some pieces in there that can fill it out, but it's tough.
Man, I'm not sure what the future looks like for that person that's going to take over her team.
Are you looking what long term she has? Yeah. What's long term?
I mean, I haven't looked at the contracts, but I'm just looking at the players now. I'm just like, I mean, I guess Lindsay maybe, but yeah, that's going to be like when you took over a team, Dave. I think it's going to be a couple of years rebuilding. So
it didn't take me long, man. I think football. All I remember was I went in the draft. I'm buying Adrian Peterson, and I did, and I think I did all right, but I still haven't won it, so not too good.
Next matchup, we had the Jiggly Kneecap, Ken Fong, at the second highest score of the week at 168.2 versus Memo at one of the lowest at 82.5. Ken, again, just stellar performances across the board.
Yeah.
Top Edelman, Saquon, McCaffrey. Oh, God damn. The boy's got Saquon and McCaffrey. It's so tough playing.
Oh, and he's got Kupp and Edelman. Don't forget that.
Yeah, I'm saying. And then
bench Eckler at the right time.
Yeah, Memo's team MVS 0.9, Jared Cook 0, DD Westbrook 0. So I mean, he had just some bad luck last week. So
zero's on the bench too for him. And don't forget, Ken had Jamal Anderson, the Green Bay backup, put 17 points up on the bench.
So, yeah. No, forget Jamal Williams. He had Montgomery from the Bears, 23.7 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the Bears player, so it's not really important.
So here's the question. So what does Memo need to do? Like, what's Memo trading at this point? What do you think
his team?
Yeah.
Let's keep Laura, and maybe it's time Pete or Memo might have to sell the team.
Get rid of Connor.
He's not paying attention, so it's like, what's going on here?
I don't know.
And he sold off, so he's not building. I think he's got open contracts. Yeah. And what he did sell off, he did good, but then he just, disappeared. He's not picking people up, placing on contracts, trying to build something for trade value.
And I'm just lucky I have a really weak week this week, and I get to play him. So I think our final matchup of the week – oh, no, we have two more. we had Maddie's team, I guess the poop emojis, versus the Iowa girlies, which is Brad's.
Slightly more than poop. Better than poop.
This is some really, really fun poop here, because Brad won this game at 72.44 points versus Maddie's whopping 64.58. So, yeah, I think Maddie's pretty comfortable at being the worst team in the league. Just seems like everybody that he picks up, like just the moment he picks him up, we're like, oh, that looks good. And then that guy gets injured. Like Chase Edmonds, now he's out. Like,
why did he pay all that money for Johnson? I mean, like, I was bidding on it too, but at a certain point, I'm like, I cannot put that much money towards a guy that might be a starter.
How much did he go for?
He went for like
10, right?
7. Yeah, he went for
it was over 10, but
over 10. Yeah, I bowed out.
So a little bit over the Dallas defense this week. The fuck was that?
I don't know.
Did it?
I mean, I probably shouldn't have been in it for 4, but
I almost posted, just dump that on you. I should have.
Yeah, I looked at their back end schedule compared to, although like, so the Green Bay's got some tough matchups between now and until the playoffs. The playoffs, I'm set. Like they play they got 2 of the best matchups in the playoffs if as long as I'm in it, which I should be. But so I'm not really upset that I didn't get them. It's just I was looking at it and I'm like, oh man, the Dallas plays some really good teams here. I basically want to secure my bye. I thought that would secure my bye, put me a little bit over the edge because
your shitty division secures your bye.
What?
Your shitty division secures your bye.
Oh, well, yeah, but there's no security. Like I can lose the next 3 weeks and, somebody go on a run here and I don't have my bye anymore. So, but this was just a rough matchup here. So
Whew, that is a bad division. I didn't realize that one.
Oh yeah, I'm so set.
Bad. Look at that. I mean,
and he's worried about losing his division.
I'm not worried about losing my division. I'm in the playoffs.
I don't know.
Don't get me wrong.
Eddie can come roaring back and come back.
I'm worried about losing my bye.
Eric, don't you have to play your 2 division teams at the end of the season?
No,
come on.
I played Darren once. I played Maddie once.
Yeah, and then you play them one more time each.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, yeah, I'm worried.
Oh, I'm so scared. I'm like, do we have 4 games left?
65 points against me.
10, 11, 12. We don't even have 4 games. We have 4 games left. Even if you lost every one. Yeah, I don't think that. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I know.
I think you're fine.
God, I should have fucking posted, dump that fucking defense on you.
One of the bigger games of the week, we had Dom versus Dave. Dave ended up winning 157.4. He was in 3rd compared to PJ and Ken up at the top there. Dom only scored 112.28. Dave Coleman, not doing much for you this week, but he basically was your top scorer last week at 37.8. Rogers balled out finally. That was a good game too. Did you guys see that pass he made?
Yeah.
Well,
let me just sidearm that bullshit up.
So I got respect for Rogers for at least saying that I wasn't aiming for that part. I was aiming for
back corner.
Graham, and it just by luck fell right there where the running back was going to be. So yeah, that was kind of ridiculous. And then Murray's still balling out. Hopefully Kamara can come back and wipe that guy off for you. But
no, hopefully Kamara gets hurt coming up, and then you're done, and you should have traded me for this guy. I have 2 top backups going into this. I've never wanted running backs to be injured so bad in my life, and I feel bad for rooting this way, but good Lord, Kamara and Cooks, I hope they go down. Because I win.
Dom's team, it was solid. I mean, he just didn't have the big games. Like you had some bad performances too. Corey Davis,
Are you kidding me? Corey Davis gave me 1.9 points. It's not like I had Baker Mayfield negative points on my team.
Right.
This was a huge week.
Basically, Dom, I look at it and I go, Dom was a little bit more consistent. He just didn't have any stud. You know, Dalvin Cook got him 25, but you had 3 studs and 4 studs. Sorry, I forget. You keep forgetting you have New England's defense, the top 10 scoring
points.
Yeah.
And they got an easy schedule during the playoffs.
And you got Greg the Leg, too.
Yeah, so.
And I've been offered Dallas's defense for the end of the season, so I might just rotate those and keep going with stud defenses throughout the rest of the year.
Well, so, I mean, it was a good matchup. I don't think Dom's out of it by any means. I mean, he's in 6th place.
No.
He definitely he'll be looking good here. So
I think he has some money too. Where if Laura bows out, I think he could take some like a team like that and get those pieces, and he could do something.
Right. Yep. Okay, Sean, as our guest, we allow you to have a guest topic. Anything you want to talk about this week?
Yes, it's basically what do you do when you're playing for next year? So I realized probably after Maddie beat me that I was not going to be your champion. It was for this year as I was the last 2 years, and it's been a great run. And I thought, okay, so unfortunately I've been in this position before in baseball. What's up?
Before you go too far, do you want to lift that trophy one last time?
One last time. I actually added to it too. I added like a nice little thing from it has like winged because Darren hit the other piece of the trophy with his car. So I actually added to that. It says you're number 1. So it's from a walking trophy at work. But so you know,
trophy.
I did. I got from a step trophy. I got steps, so it's got like a little cup and it says first. So boom, I was able to improvise after the football got hit by Darren's car. Or was Katie's? I'm not sure. I always hear different stories on that. So anyhow, I just there's a time where you realize that it's just not your year, especially when you bench somebody and it sounds like they're going to get 30 points. In a former Miami running back. So what you have to think about next year and what do you look for? And this kind of goes back to the trade with Dave. And I was mainly looking I rarely look for running backs long term. Money's always great, but to me, like I always find value in longer term wide receivers that have shown proven potential. I had a long-term quarterback already, but really to me, it sucks to be in that position, but that's my main things that I always do is more so longer term players because unless it's a lot of money where I can be guaranteed, I know we have a cap now, but also for the fact that I know what those players are worth and I have a feeling of what they're going to be long term. So that's why often like Dave, I saw with Godwin and with Landry, I could always be wrong, but that's to me the most secure way of getting some value back for your higher players. And it happens, but then you kind of build that foundation, and that's something, Niz, I thought again you did very nicely with that Watson trade, where you could see somebody that is like in it, and you can was he going to be valued to you this year? There's no way the person's going to franchise him, and you get the most amount of value as you can. So
yeah, I was just going to say, I mean that was my whole philosophy. Was I pulled in some really good contracts from that year, and I saw some pieces that like, and if you remember, I traded. I think I was like in 7th or 8th place.
Yeah,
and my team was still like stacked. If I would have kept those guys, I probably would have made it into the playoffs. But I just didn't. I didn't think I had enough money. Didn't have enough things that I could actually like go into it and do something with it. So I offered them up to you, and you had. Like I really liked Watson. I knew you needed a quarterback and stuff, and I got Watson. I got Michael Thomas. I'm trying to think who else did I pull from that.
I got a receiver from you. I got Tyreek Hill.
You got Tyreek Hill,
and I was able to franchise.
Here, think about it. I had Tyreek Hill, Bell. Who else? Freeman was still good then.
Yeah, I had Devontae Freeman too. That's the other one that you gave me.
Like I mean, I gave you some stuff, but you gave me some stuff that like now I'm last couple of years, and I've got Watson now for the next for what is it like $4 or $5 for the next 2 years, and I'll franchise that guy because he's consistently up at the top 3 of the quarterbacks. I mean, he's amazing. So
yeah, I mean, he's not as good as Mitch Trubisky, so why would the Bears draft him? So, but otherwise, yeah, that's it kind of reminded me of that with that trade with Davis. So, I mean, it's a sucky position to be in. You always want to be able to compete, but sometimes it's just not your year, and if that's the case, then how can you make the best of it? Because football can turn over so quickly, and I literally went from hosting the draft to being the champion in the matter of 2 years. So,
Sean, do you have open contracts right now?
I do.
Do you plan on filling those or just sitting there like other people are and not doing it?
I'm debating on it. I don't know. Right now, I can't see any reason, but I could be wrong, and there's a player out there that I may like, and then just say, like, okay, let's roll with it.
Well, and I look at, like, 2 years ago, because I played you for the championship last year.
Mm-hmm.
And, Eric, if you remember, we were sitting out on the deck drinking, talking about our football rosters. I don't know if you remember this or not. We were talking about who we had. I had a lot of people on my team, and my goal was to, trade off, multiple players to get back good players, which helped me get into the championship last year. Mm-hmm. And I had, like, Cooper Kupp. I picked him up at the end of the year. I picked up Marlon Mack at the end of the year. Mm-hmm. I traded those guys away. So it's just like when I sell off, because I'm low on cash too, because I maximize the draft as best I can, because I feel that's your best place to get players. So for me, I want to try to get as many players at $1 at a decent contract, because if I got to cut them, I don't care. But if they end up being good or tradable, it's just a value at the end of the year and the beginning of next year. That's how I look at it. Yeah. Like you look at baseball right now, I have more players than teams, so I'm looking to trade them and have some fun in the off season with that.
I'd be willing to listen, because I have nobody right now.
Just looking at it, I mean, like I see some like interesting players.
Yeah.
Like I would put on a long-term contract if I was in your position, Sean or Memo or whoever. Like Darrell Henderson Jr. I mean,
no, you can't get him. I got him.
Yeah, I tried, and I realized Dave has him.
I got him, but there's a couple other wide receivers out there that for $1, I'd throw on a 2 or 3, and if I got to cut them, I don't care. But there's a couple people out there that I would be scooping up since I'm done. I just don't get it sometimes.
Well, there's one that, there's a couple. I mean, I'm looking at them. I'm looking through like top available receivers. Like it's always good to sit on rookie receivers. Like I typically don't like to draft them, or if I do, I throw them in my IR right away, because they take a year. Receivers one of the hardest positions for them to learn.
Yeah, that's right.
I'd be looking to put like Hawkinson in like my 4-year for but like wide receivers so tough, and like there's a couple guys out there that I'm just like looking at them like, man, you get the right situation there. Like Deebo Samuel
he's on my IR.
On your IR. That's a good one. Preston
or like you said, you grab some running backs, Henderson. You look at who's going to be gone and who the backup is, and hope that plays out. That's huge right there. Gurley
is so burnt out because they rode that for so long, and he barely made it through last year. He's all right, but that's kind of new when that thing was going to end, when they rode him all the way.
Even though Eric yelled at me last week for saying he's not the guy. You remember that?
Who?
Gurley. I told you they're not riding him; they're babying him, and you're like, no. You yelled at me last week.
No, they're still using him. I mean, they're still using him like the number one back there.
They are.
It's a whole 10 to 14 points for the number one back.
Right. I'm not. Well, if I yelled at you because I said he was the number one back, no. But he's still the number one guy there. Like in that offense, I still want the number one guy there. Like he's still an honorable player. I don't know what he's going to be going forward.
He's like a 1A, and that team is in weird shambles right now, other than Cooper Kupp.
Good.
Yeah.
You guys ready to move on to matchups for this week?
Sure.
Yep.
Hey, we'll go over some of the just do we really even care about these matchups? I guess Laura might because she's playing Darren this week. She should win this. Darren's expected to score 86.55. Laura's expected to score 105.94. I think her team's way better, but you never know. Guys, what do you think?
Laura.
Yeah, I'd say Laura. I think Laura's gonna live it to fight another day. Maybe she tries to, maybe that holds off the sell off. But yeah, I'd say Laura.
Yeah, we're starting to separate the cream from the cream of the crop right now, and it's there's if you look at this week, I think there's one maybe two good matchups that are out there.
I'm waiting for another matchup here because this is kind of fun.
Is it going to be PJ versus the poop emoji?
It sure is.
Yeah, I'm, actually, it's not as far off as what Laura's and Darren's is, but PJ is expected to win 106.81 to Maddie's 89.90. So, it's actually a closer separation, but just team quality-wise, I mean, I know that they think Maddie's going to score 89.9, but he's just so underperformed every week. I just don't see him scoring over 100 points and catching up to PJ's really good team.
That'd be awesome if he did. That'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, you never know, but it's funny to see. I look at PJ and he's going to average 120 and up, maybe a little less, but he's going to average up. And Maddie's team it is what it is. It's playing for next year, so it's interesting to see how close it is right now. But we'll see what happens. Monday night when everything's said and done.
Hey,
PJ,
I think
just in case.
I'm interested to see what you guys say on this one. It's you versus Sean. So.
Domination coming your way, Dave.
Even with Sean's quarterback scoring him 23.04, his defense only scored him 3 points, but right now he's on pace for 26, or on pace for 98.34. Dave's team's 113.82. So far, Dave's team's underperformed. Sean's team's overperformed. Where do you guys think you're going to finish up? Sean, are you calling?
Dave, well, had I play a player that had about 28 points, maybe this would be different. But I think Dave's going to win, and it's okay. But I think what I will see, that I'm hoping to see at least, is from the new players that I picked up, is a nice showing, and I like to see something pleasant from Landry. But I think Dave's just got. I mean, unless is Steele indefinite?
He's practiced both days, so he's limited, but he should be a go. I'm worried about him getting out there and playing a quarter and pulling up lame. So we'll see what happens. I've been trying to work some trades for wide receivers with 4 running backs, but we'll see what happens. I'll always pick me, but I am a little worried right now.
Hey, I got to trade for Elliott if you want.
I'm good.
I have some wide receivers if you want to give Elliott away.
I think I'm good. I think I picked you clean.
Okay.
I'd have to agree. Just there's some really good matchups. Thielen gets to play against Kansas City. Cooper gets to play against New York Giants. Elliott gets to play against the Giants. Fournette against Houston without J.J. Watt now. So, I mean –
that Amari Cooper thing, even though he's playing for some paper next year, he could be so damn inconsistent sometimes. He's been a lot better this year.
He's bucked the trend. I mean,
yeah,
he was the biggest anti. When you franchised him, I was like, "You're nuts, Sean!" Like, I cannot believe that. But he's a top 10 receiver. Like, yeah, he was worth what you spent.
Yeah, no, good value.
So. That was one that I sorted in. I was like, between your guys' matchup and then now we'll move to my matchup. Even though it's a second place team versus a 10th place team, I am in apocalypse this week, and I've got a bunch of players out. So I'm expected to win right now at 88.93. versus Memo's team at 81.17, and he doesn't have a kicker in, so
or a tight end.
Or a tight end, yeah. So we'll see what happens.
Has he even bid on anybody? Do we know that?
No.
Somebody check.
Let's see the message board.
Yeah. So I mean, for me, and I didn't play Burita this week. I know he was having a decent game. Would have scored me 10.2.
I'm sorry.
So he has
Imagine
not
coming
bid
up
on, Pete has not bid on a kicker or a tight end from what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
No, he has not.
So that's the thing is like I've got a rough week because I got Kamara down, Thomas down. It was just tough. I had to, I could swap out my kicker, but
Memo just gave up. He's just not. You think he would get that just to be competitive?
Yeah. So we'll see. I might win. I might not. What do you guys think? I think I'm going to win because it's Memo.
If he doesn't pick anybody up, if he decides that he wants to play and pick up something, then he might win. But he's barely standing.
Just disappointing. Like I said, if you sold off, build out your team.
Be a competitor.
Yeah, whatever. Next.
So who's I didn't get your guys' pick.
Oh, Eric.
As
The
it
guy
stands right
going
now,
out his roster.
Dave picked me 2 weeks in a row. That means I'm gonna win.
Yeah, we'll wait until you play somebody good.
Okay, so let's see, which matchup do I want to do next? We'll do Scott versus Ken. Right now, Ken is projected to win at 122.12. He had Kittle go tonight and Gonzalez. He is slightly ahead of his pace. Scott's right now, he had Christian Kirk go. It only got him 2.6, so he's below his pace. Right now it's 122.12 to 99.05. Who's winning this one, guys?
Ken, without a doubt. Ken's team is so good.
I mean, yeah.
You got McCaffrey against Tennessee, which is a decent defense. Saquon versus Dallas, which is a decent defense.
Yeah, $5.
Keenan versus Green Bay, a decent defense. Edelman versus Baltimore, a decent defense. So, I mean, the matchups, Ken's team, it's the best matchup was Kittle versus Arizona right now, and he scored him 16.9. So, Chubbs against Denver, Max versus Pittsburgh, Carson versus Tampa. I don't know. I think it's closer than what you guys think.
I think Jamal Williams starting him may not be the best decision in my opinion. So maybe Ken's going to change that before Sunday.
Yeah, but I'd go with Eckler.
That or Montgomery.
Yeah, I'd almost go Montgomery. Because the guaranteed touches there. Like he's gonna touch the ball. I think the Bears lost this weekend, but if anybody watched that game, Dave, did you watch the game at all?
Which one?
The Bears game.
I tried not to, but it was on the store. I enjoyed it.
Really did. Sean, did you watch the Bears game?
Was that a doink or a wide right?
It was wide right.
I watched the first half, and then I had to get some stuff done, and I got frustrated.
Bears offense, they found something. They couldn't finish drives, but between the 20 and 20, they found something with Montgomery running the ball, and I think they're going to continue that formula. So I'd almost start Montgomery instead of Williams in this place. But the team that was giving up all those runs again was the Chargers, which Williams is playing against. So you never know.
Yeah, I still think I'd go Eckler. He's going to get the passes and some rushes. So I think I would go, when I look at basically two backups and Montgomery, I mean, maybe Montgomery, but I think Eckler out of the three.
And for our final matchup of the week, definitely this is the marquee matchup: 4 against 5. I'm sorry, 5 against 6. Brad right now is expected to lose. He's in 5th place, but he's expected to lose to the 6th place team, Dom. Brad's at 97.75 versus Dom's 110.171. What do you guys think on this one?
Wouldn't be close. I think Dom really needs the win here.
Mm-hmm.
Dom's got some tough matchups.
Brad's got some tough matchups.
Yeah, they both do. I mean,
Gore. Well, no, you got Cook versus KC, Gore versus Washington, Brown versus Washington, Hopkins versus Jacksonville. I mean, Jacksonville's not the same without what's his face, the guy, Ramsey, who just got traded.
Yeah, Metcalf against Tampa Bay. I like that.
Yeah, so I mean, Brad's got McLaurin versus Buffalo, one of the best defenses. Freeman versus Cleveland, as bad as Cleveland's been, their defense has been solid. Gordon versus Green Bay. Andrews versus New England. We all know how New England's been, so he's got some really rough matchups there.
I still should have started Jimmy G. Looking at that.
Yeah. I mean, he's ride or die with Winston. Winston's playing Seattle, so yeah. Why wouldn't you play Garoppolo against Arizona here? That's on him. I don't know why you wouldn't play that matchup, but I don't know what his thought process was. But
yeah, that one hurt. I'm probably gonna go Dom.
Yeah, I'd say so.
The matchups just make sense. So, but it's definitely gonna be interesting if that's gonna definitely put a shift in that whole dynamic. Does that put Dom? Anybody got the overall league standings? Will that put Dom ahead of him?
4 or 5.
They'll be both 4 or 5, 5 and 4.
5 and 4. Yeah, but I mean, it helps start to secure a playoff position.
Right, because
a little bit more.
Dom's got more points than Brad, right, overall?
Yep.
He does.
He's 9-2 versus 8-17. Almost 100 points more. So if he wins, that gives him a good edge.
Yeah, big playoff implications here. So,
do we know who's the most hard luck loser is this year?
Not Maddie. He's just a loser. Love you, Maddie.
I'd be interested to see if that's that. Who would that be? Because I don't know why it seems like Dom always had like a hard luck loss. But maybe it's me.
Dude, I'm up there. I've scored third most points. I'm at 5-3. I mean, I got a winning record, but it's like Dom's one game behind me. So I've had a pretty tough one.
Yeah, I think it's me.
What? Get out of here. No, and anybody else, it's Ken. Ken's at 5-3 with the most points. And you got certain teams that are like with one loss in a simple division, and they're probably going to get a bye because they need it, and then get bounced in the second round.
You used to name the divisions. I wish we still did that, because I definitely have a couple fun names for mine.
Actually, you know who has the hardest strength of schedule is Memo. Because his opponents are averaging 120.22 points.
Wow.
Well, look at the math major there. And how much does he average though?
Oh, I'm not sure how much he's averaged. I'm just looking at like the strength of schedule. Just Yahoo is the record book.
Well, he's put up the third least points in the league and had one of the best potential teams.
And who has the easiest schedule? Do you want to guess?
Maddie.
Smash Camario Brothers.
Oh,
with an average opponent scoring of 92.23.
And that's why he'll be bounced. You should probably sell, bro.
Yeah, remember a couple weeks ago when you were like adamant on that because I had one loss?
Just trying to get that in your head.
Ooh, and you own the largest. Niz, you're our record setter. Largest margin of defeat. You beat Maddie by 115 points.
Yeah, I remember that week.
Good.
Maddie still owes me a beer for that week too, by the way. So I should maybe we'll do another Elmhurst Brewing night again, Dave.
Yeah, maybe you can get a beer of the week from him.
It'll be fun. Okay, guys. I think that wraps it up. We don't have you have to pick and pull anymore, so that's it. Sean, any last words to say?
I want to thank you all. I want to thank you all for being your champion these 2 years, unless a miracle happens. So please, find the graces on whoever you plan to have as your new champion. But I promise to not be a lame duck champion for the remaining games, and I will make sure that what I promised as a champion will be fulfilled through the finish of my tenure.
Dave, anything?
I'm glad that Sean is passing away, passing the torch.
Passing.
And he traded me his last good players and didn't trade to – who else was trying to get a trade from you?
Oh, gosh. It was, I think, Ken, Scott, Dom. I actually like Dom's team for some of the pieces, especially Kerryon Johnson was intriguing. But Maddie's trying to get Kyler Murray, but that's for, other stuff. And then
like a blowjob or something?
Yeah. I mean, it just Ken I think would probably be would be up there too as well. He actually had some decent stuff. PJ I think put through an offer. So I mean, some of the usual suspects. I just from what I saw from the players, it was just this what I did made the most sense to me.
Well, thank you very much.
For me, my last. Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm just having a good week.
My last words. Sean, beat Dave, make it interesting. I want to see a close playoff run from all those teams. So, and it'll help me separate for my bye. So,
I will go down fighting.
And that was Bald Guys Talking Football. Thank you very much for